So good morning, everyone. And again, nice to see all of you through the Zoom from the distant and safe. uh, and again, thank you for joining. And as usual, we will start with the motivations. So for that, first try to calm your mind by watching the breath for a few moments. Then we can think, contemplate, may us coming here together with the good intentions, giving the precious time, become cause and conditions to be able to transform all the adversary conditions into the path. May it become cause and conditions to cultivate and fully develop the bodhicitta mind and the wisdom realizing the emptiness. And may it become cause and conditions to achieve fully awakened state so we can be most help and benefit to all sentient beings. Okay. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create to listen to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodam Sogi Sonam Ma Chanju Bado Dane Dagi Choje Gibe Sonam Dola Penje Sangye Duba Sangye Chodam Sogi Sonam Chanju Bado Dane Dagi Choje Gibe Sonam Dola Penje Sangye Duba. So as a part of the practice meditation on the stages of the path to enlightenment, we discuss about how to collect the bodhicitta mind, and then last week, by following the verse number 96, we discussed how to transform adversities, conditions, difficult, challenging situations, experiences that we encounter in our life into the path. And within that, in terms of how to transform those challenging, difficult situations or adversary conditions and experience into the path, how to transform it through the bodhicitta mind and through the view. And I think, last week, by following the verse number 96, we discussed a little bit on that. Whenever unwanted, undesirable, problematic experience, event, situation arises, manifest in our life, that disturb our mind, agitate our mind. Then we try to be aware of that, be aware of what we are going through, emotionally, mentally, because of the situations, whatever pain, whatever sufferings, whatever, painful experience that we might be going through, be aware of that. And then, again, not only being aware of our own experience, painful experience because of the situations, particular difficult situations. Then also, we open our, instead of being so narrow-minded and focused, oh, my suffering, my problem, my pain, we try to open our heart, mind, and understanding that I'm the not only one who is going through this kind of pain and sufferings. There are so many beings around the world who are experiencing and going through so much pain and difficulties and problem, just like myself. Some of them even much more worse than myself. So you allow your experience to open your heart to understand and feel the other's pain and suffering as well. And by having, through that opening and through being able to understand and feel others' pain and sufferings, then if you can, then you can try to practice Tonglen, If possible, you can try to do the practice of Tonglen, taking their pain and suffering on yourself and sending and giving your own happiness and virtues to them, And even we cannot do more profound Tonglen practice, at least, we can try to, as I mentioned last time too, simple way of, thinking that by me experiencing this painful experience, may all of those who are experiencing, may they be free from them, all those pain. May I be able to experience on behalf of them. May no one have the experience in the future by me experiencing now. By me going through this, may no one has to go through that. So when you are able to do that, then you transform your own pain and your own difficult situation to develop more compassion, more kindness, more understanding, and so that is so therefore you transform that into something positive. That transform your heart into something virtuous, towards more understanding, more concern, more empathy, more compassion, more kindness, towards more bodhicitta. And if we do that, then it becomes meaningful and beneficial for having going through this difficult situation and painful experience. As much as it's difficult, as much as it's a painful experience, at the same time, we are able to transform into something meaningful, something positive for our own spiritual growth and to develop more to develop and to increase our sense of empathy, love, compassion, bodhicitta mind. So that is how we can transform from the point of view of bodhicitta, to develop more bodhicitta. And then in terms of the transforming it from the point of view, from the point of view, then we try to think whatever, again, situation, circumstances, conditions, no matter how difficult it is, how painful it is, as well as our own experience, that painful experience because of that situation, that conditions, because of that event, because of that experience, whatever pain that we are going through, by seeing, by looking at that, the situation itself, even though it appeared to our mind as, so real, so concrete, from its own side, but reality is not how it exactly like that, the way it appeared to our mind. But the reality is not exactly as it appeared to our mind. The reality is that, due to many causes and conditions, certain things come together, on the basis of that, then our mind, label it as a painful, as a bad, as a, whatever we label it, and because we label it that way, we experience that way. When you label it as a problem, it becomes problem. When you label it as an opportunity, it becomes opportunity. When your mind label it as a problem, then it actually becomes a problem. But when our mind label for the same situation or opportunity, then that could become an opportunity for oneself. And it doesn't affect you as a problem, but actually you see it as an opportunity. And so it affects you differently, how you label it. Same situations, according to how you label that, according to that, it affects your mind. And so again, looking from that point of view, so therefore, whatever undesirable, difficult, problematic it is, that they all are merely labeled by seeing, by understanding. They are merely labeled by our mind. They are merely labeled by our mind. Not only the situation itself, but even the experience that we are going through now, even the very painful experience, even the very, painful experience we are going through because of that situation, event, even that, even though when we are feeling it now, it feels that pain so real, as though you can actually hold on that, so real, so concrete, as though that pain is there from its own side, objectively from its own side. You feel that way, when it's strong, you feel that way. But if you analyze this, what is the pain? Where is the pain that I feel so strongly? That which I feel so real, which I feel as though so concrete, if you try to analyze, if you try to look within the mind itself, which part of that, and if you see, then again, is even that is empty of inherently existing. The pain do not exist inherently, independently by itself. Is merely labeled by our mind on the basis of few things coming together, certain factors coming together, certain condition or factor coming together. Then our mind label is a pain. But if you go and analyze within the pain itself, then you cannot really pinpoint and see that is it. So there is no pain or suffering that exists by itself independently. Once we realize that, then the pain that you feel so strongly and so real and so concrete becomes less concrete. You feel it's less real. And once you started to feel less real, less concrete, less solid, the pain reduces. It's not as strong as or intense as it is before. So, and so there, even though whether it's the pain itself that come through the situations, circumstances, or the situation or circumstance itself, even though they appear to our mind as so real and existing from as it is from its own objectively, independently, objectively by itself, but that is not how thing really exists when we analyze with our analyzing mind. When we analyze deeply, profoundly into the object itself or situation itself, the experience itself. Therefore, the appearance and the way they exist, there's a disparity, and therefore, they all are the situation itself, the experience itself, or myself who's experiencing that pain, all of them are like illusions. Seeing them, all of them like illusions, like an illusion, like a dream. So once we see and look from that point of view, that then once you see them as like illusions, instead of seeing as so real, once we are able to see that as illusions, then the problem doesn't become as real problems. Therefore, it doesn't affect you so strongly. It's like a problem in your dream. And when you wake up, you don't notice that problem was just in a dream, it's not real. The moment you realize it's not real, but it was just a dream, then it doesn't affect you so strongly. And same thing, someone creates some kind of illusions, and you believe that as a real illusions, and then your mind is affected very strongly. But what kind of illusion is creating? If the illusions created, something scary, then it gives you a lot of fear. But once you realize, oh, it is just an illusion, it's not real, then you don't have the fear. Then you don't have the fear, or at least your fear will be not so intense or strong. By understanding it and by looking at that. And so through that, then that is how we transform. That is how we transform the situations, adversity situation, conditions, and the experience into something meaningful to develop a wisdom, we use that to develop wisdom by looking from that point of view, by looking from that view of seeing them as like an illusion, like a dream, then we transform to cultivate wisdom. And by having cultivated that wisdom and that awareness, that understanding, then, we don't get affected so strongly by that event, that conditions. So that is how we try to transform it through the thoughts. So transforming the adversary situation through the thoughts and through the actions. And in terms of through the thoughts, then through the bodhicitta and through the view. And so I think that is where. And then if you go to the next verse, where verse number 97, in short, no matter what appearance arises, be good or bad, I see your blessing to transform them into the path, increasing to true bodhicitta. And so that is what we, whatever, in short, summarizing that, in short, whatever we encounter and face in our life, whether we are healthy, whether we are unhealthy, whether we are, alive, or whether we are at the end of our life, coming to the end, dying, whether we become rich, whether we become poor, whether people like us or whether people dislike us, whether people praise us or whether people criticize us, whether we become, famous, have good reputations, or whether we become insignificant, nobody care about you, nobody, whatever, talk about you. In short, whatever manifest in our life, in moment to moment, in our different stages of our life, different period of our life, whatever. Sometimes we have good things happening, sometimes bad things happening, sometimes a good experience, sometimes we have bad experience, sometimes we have good connection with others, sometimes we don't have so much good connection with others. Sometimes people seem to care about you, love about you. Sometimes it seems they don't care about you, they don't love you. So all of this, part of our samsaric life, is part of our samsaric life. It happens. It happens to all samsara. And when that happens, whether it's good things happening or bad things happening, no matter, we try to use that particular situations, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. Whatever situation happens, we try to take that situation and then take into the practice to cultivate and to improve the true bodhicitta mind by applying the view, as I mentioned before. By applying the view, then we try to generate the ultimate bodhicitta mind and improve the ultimate bodhicitta mind, and through the others, through our own experience, then again understanding there are many others who are experiencing like that, and through that again, cultivating and increasing sense of empathy, love, compassion, bodhicitta mind. So of course we talk about a little bit kind of adversity, how to transform, but good things, for example, when we have good health, being aware of that, mindful of that, and appreciating that, feeling grateful of that. Because not everyone has good health as we have. Being grateful, thankful. At least I have the good health. At least I have the good health. Because not everyone has that good health. And then, we wish everyone to have good health. We send all our virtues and the merit for everyone to have good health. So again, by doing that, again, we allow our being aware of it, mindful of our good health, being very appreciative, grateful, thankful, and then we allow our mind to be more open, more spacious by recognizing that not everyone has good health, and therefore sending all our virtues, all our merit, all our positive energy so that everyone can enjoy such good health. And then you use that for all other good things happening, If we have a, let's say, financial security, we don't have so much worry about financial security, even though we might not be so rich, but at least maybe we might not be struggling like so many other people. Again, being very grateful of that, because not everyone has that situation. There are so many people in the world who struggles day to day, every day, day to day, they struggle every day, to have a food on the table, to have some kind of, even it's a basic shelter to to protect them, who struggles to pay for their health situation when they have health cases. And like that, so again, knowing that how, again, being very appreciative, thankful, grateful for ours to have, not to have that kind of struggle. At the same time, being aware of that, feeling for those people, and then again, dedicating all your merit, all your virtues, all your goodness for them to have a more secure financial situations, so they can have a better, better situations, so they don't have to struggle and go through so much pain and sufferings. And so again, when you do that, again, you transform your good situations to feel more empathy, more compassion, more bodhicitta towards that. And so you are able to help that your situation to develop more bodhicitta mind, compassion mind, And we use that everything for everything, For example, again, we have the good condition to be able to study and practice the Dharma. Again, being grateful of that. I'm so grateful, thankful, gratitude that we have all the condition to study and practice the Dharma. There are so many people who doesn't have that opportunity. There are so many people who doesn't have that opportunity. Some of them, even they want to practice, study, they don't have the conditions. Some of them, they never got opportunity, they're never exposed to and fully exposed and fully understood it. And so again, through that, again, feeling, so thankful, grateful that we have this opportunity. Not everyone has that opportunity. And again, with that understanding, with that feeling, again, dedicating. May everyone have, dedicating our virtuous merit for everyone to have such a opportunity and conditions to practice, to study and to practice the Dharma, to study and to practice the Dharma. Again, same thing, So whether is any, so we can, having given few examples, then you can relate with everything that good things happening in you. So whether it's bad things happen or good things happening in your life, you use both of them to develop more loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta mind. As well as, again, you use by the view, you use that to develop more wisdom or more higher level of wisdom, more profound wisdom. Same thing, just not only the adversity side, but also with the positive side. When we have good conditions, whether we have good health, we have financially more stable security, whether we have a good relationship, whether we have all the condition of practice, study and practice the Dharma, all of that, whatever, and many others, again, being aware, all of them is impermanent. So therefore, I shouldn't be so attached to them. With that understanding, from the view of understanding of, I shouldn't be so arrogant, I shouldn't be so, proud, and so attached to that. Because of that, everything comes and goes, everything changes. Being mindful and aware of that, and so then not allowing that situation to become more arrogant, more pride, or to develop more strong attachments towards that objects. Also by seeing, all of those objects, even though, or situations, the situation, all the positive situation, good situation, and objects, even though they appear something good, something positive, something beneficial, something helpful, from its own side, objectively from its own side, and as so real. But again, if we analyze within the basis of those objects, of the situation itself, there's nothing that exists as it appears to our mind as such a solid, as such a real, existing as a good or beneficial or good from its own, independently, inherently from its own side. If we analyze deeply, therefore all of them are also like illusions. All of them are like illusions. The way they appear to our mind and the way they exist does not concord. Therefore, they are also like all of them like an illusion, like a state in the dream. So through that kind of view, then if we allow the wisdom, the awareness and the wisdom that arises to understand and realize they all are like illusions and not as real, then, again, we will be less attached to them. We will be less attached to them. When you see them as real, we will be more attached to them. And if you're more attached to them, then, you have fear of losing them. Again, pain comes because something you are so attached, you don't want to lose it. Your attachment doesn't want to lose it. And because of that, then there's a worry, there's a fear, there is a suspicion, doubt that I could lose. And because of that, again, we go through a lot of pain and suffering. But once you understand all of them are not as real as it appears to our mind, but they are like an illusion, then, you have less stronger grasping, you have less stronger attachment towards it. And also, because you see it as an illusion and less real, it doesn't allow you to be so arrogant because you have that, or so unhealthy pride, you know. Mm. And sense of self-importance, you know. And so therefore, it helps us to reduce those other afflictive emotions and sufferings and pain that come from that. Also, it helps us to develop more wisdom and more bodhicitta, more compassion. So I think that was the meaning of the two first line from that verse number 97. I seek your blessing to transform them into the path, increasing the two bodhicittas. So, you know, the relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. And ultimate bodhicitta, the wisdom, realizing the emptiness that has been supported by the relative bodhicitta. And then next, the third line, through the practice of 5 powers, the quintessences of the entire Dharma. So in terms of the 7-point of mind training, as I mentioned before last week, you know, after the practice of middle scope or initial scope and small or initial and middle scope practice, they are part of the preliminary practice. And then the actual meditation on the cultivating the bodhicitta mind, that is the actual practice. The second point, the actual training in the two bodhicittas, you know. And then third is transforming adversity into the path, which we just finished. And the fourth is applying those practices throughout our whole life. And applying the practices throughout our whole life. And so that is and so we try to apply the 5 power, the practice of 5 power or 5 strength. Maybe strength might be, I don't know which words, 5 power, 4 or 5 strength. So that is the fourth point of the 7-point of mind training. It comes in the fourth point. And so this verse, this line, one line explain that point, the fourth point. So applying those 5, the practice of 5 power or 5 strength within the whole life. And those are the power of intention or motivations, the power or strength of. And then second one is the strength or power of familiarizations, and then, the power or strength of, overcoming, destroying, or revulsions, and then the power of strength of wholesome seed or white seed, but wholesome seed, and the power of prayer or the power or dedications or the power of aspirations. So those are the 5 power of strength that we try to apply throughout the whole life. So the first power or the strength is, the power of strength or intention motivations is when we practice the lojong in our life, we try to apply that throughout our life. And that is, trying to generate a strong intention, strong motivation again and again, every day, starting from the very first thing in the morning, that I'm going to try all my best as much as I can until I achieve enlightenment, and especially as long in this life, and particularly this year, this week, this month, this week, especially these 24 hours, I'm going to try all my best to train myself in the two bodhicitta mind, and to cultivate two bodhicitta mind, and to improve and increase two bodhicitta mind as much as I can, you know. So trying to have that intention, motivations throughout the day, again and again, again and again, again and again, because the very hard practice of the Mahayana, the very hard practice of the Bodhisattvas is training into bodhicitta mind, training into bodhicitta mind. So we have to remind ourselves through that kind of motivation or intentions every day, again and again, again and again, so that we don't lose our directions. You know, sometimes even though we have intention, motivation at a certain time, but throughout the day, sometimes we lose the directions. And so we have to be reminded that over and over again and again. And we try to remind that through that kind of cultivating that kind of intention and motivations, starting from the first thing in the morning. And then throughout the day, as many as possible, as much as possible, you know. Then the power of the strength or power of familiarizations. And then throughout the day, you know, throughout the day, we try to practice and train into the practice of relative bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta through the view, you know. So again, you know, while you are walking, while you are driving, while you are hiking, you can think of them. You can think of the bodhicitta mind. You can think of the wisdom, the emptiness, you know. While you are eating, while you are drinking, you know, we can take some time to reflect and contemplate on that. Maybe while you are watching the TV, whether it's news or any other entertainment, whatever you are watching, while you are watching the TV, you can still contemplate, you know. Even you are not on cushion, doesn't mean you cannot meditate, you can contemplate. While you are watching it, you know, you can think about the emptiness, you can think about the bodhicitta mind. While you are watching it, you know, the persons who is anchor of the news or whatever, you know, that person's the news itself, the TV itself, the person who is hearing that news or watching the entertainment, all of them, even though they appear to our mind so real and true and internally existing, but in reality, that is not how things exist. In reality, they are empty of truly existence, they are empty of inherent existence. And therefore, all of these are like illusions. The broadcaster or anger, the person is like an illusion. The TV itself is illusions. The news itself is illusions, like illusions. The person who is listening, hearing, watching is also like illusions. So you can contemplate that while you are watching that. While you are watching that, you can think of compassion through those news, entertainments, whatever, you know, you see there are so many people experiencing so much pain in this world and other sentient beings, animals, and so forth. Again, you know, once you hear from them, you feel their pain, suffering, you know, You understand, you feel, and then again, you can dedicate all your virtues, all your merit, all your positive energy, to be able to solve their pain, suffering, to be relief of their pain and suffering, or at least to be reduced of their pain and suffering. Again, you can try to use that particular to cultivate more stronger love, compassion, concern, empathy, and so bodhicitta mind. So you can do that while you are doing that, and while you are working with whatever, in whatever, whatever job we do, whatever job work we do, while we are doing, again, we can take few moments to reflect, contemplate. It doesn't take too long or too much time. We can reflect, contemplate, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So that is how we try to train our mind to cultivate or to generate the two bodhicitta mind, and to increase and improve to the bodhicitta mind throughout the day. And then if we do that throughout the day, then it becomes for a week. And if we do that through the week, then it becomes month. And if we do the months, then it becomes year. And then your whole life, you have been contemplating, all your life you have been training, and each time we do that, it's pouring like a drop of water to the seed of our loving kindness and wisdom. Each time we do that, giving water to that. Each time we reflect, each time we contemplate, it is giving the energy boost for the seed of our loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind to grow, to expand, to blossom, fully. And so that is what we try to do throughout the day as much as possible, and trying to do that with every opportunity. Instead of thinking, I don't have time to sit and do meditations. Sometimes that is excuse for us not to meditate, not to train, not to practice. That not having the time to be on cushions, because we can contemplate, we can reflect, we can meditate anywhere, whatever you are doing. If you put the effort, if you make the decisions, intentions, and the effort, then you can do meditation everywhere, anytime, whether you are walking, sleeping, doing any kind of entertaining, or any kind of job, any kind of activities, we can do that. So my suggestions or advice will be, maybe throughout the day there are many different things that we do, different activities you might be doing, from morning to evening. We have kind of routine, we have general routine, and a lot of things that when we are not on the cushions, on meditation cushions. So you can take one of them, one routine, what you do every day when you are not cushions, and try to have the intention and make some effort to think on the bodhicitta while you are doing that thing, that routine. And if you make effort, sometimes we forget because we are not used to that. Sometimes you forget, but then tomorrow you remember. When you remember, you do it. But same, when you do that same routine every day, you try to remember that. And it can be very short reflection, contemplation, even you don't have. And then slowly, slowly, that become part of your routine. While you are doing something, reflecting, contemplating, become a routine. And then you don't forget it. Whenever you do that, it just comes, because now it has become routine, not only physically, but mentally. And once you have done that, then you can apply that to another routine, another thing, something you do, until again you become so used to that, whenever you do that, it just comes naturally to reflect, contemplate. And slowly, slowly you can improve that. And then slowly, slowly, many, throughout the day, many things that we do, while we are doing those things, while it seems very samsaric, normal things to do, but actually you are reflecting, contemplating while you are doing that. Um, yeah, maybe, just to give example, I like to walk, and I kind of walk whenever I get opportunity, most time. And I try to take the time to reflect, contemplate throughout when I'm walking, especially when I'm walking by myself. So because since I don't have to talk with others, distracted. And sometimes I find, that time even much more helpful than sometimes even uh, sitting on cushions and trying to reflect, contemplate, meditate on same issues. So, and so that is just one example, We can reflect while you are brushing, because we take time in the bathroom, restroom, washing, brushing, washing, and using the bathroom. And maybe we spend, 10, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And at that time, while we are doing whatever we are doing there in the restroom, we can reflect, contemplate. And therefore, that become meditations. That become meditations. That time you have used in meditation for training your mind. And unless we do that way, we will never be able to find so much time to reflect, contemplate, and meditate. We become so busy with other things. But if you bring that reflection, contemplation, meditation into whatever other things you are doing, then, then you are able to find time for meditation all the time, time for practice all the time. You are able to find time for meditation, reflection, contemplation all the time. And when you are able to do that, then it become, yeah. So that through that, then that is how we familiarize. That is how we familiarize with the two bodhicitta mind to make it more stronger and stronger. To make it more stronger and stronger, more frequent and more frequent. Cultivating that mind more frequently, more often, and also more strong. So that is the power of strength of our of familiarizations, and then the power of revulsions or abandoning. Is that again throughout the day we try to watch our mind as much as possible, be mindful of our mind as much as possible, and whenever we realize, as you are watching, then you catch up, strong selfish attitude or self-centeredness arising, we catch up, Whenever any kind of strong selfish attitude or strong, whenever any selfish or self-centered attitude arises, you catch up. Oh, here is that selfish attitude. Oh, that is the self-centeredness. And once you catch up that selfish attitude, the self-centeredness, then you talk with that. You are the one who have put me in the prison of samsara so far. Now I recognize you. Now I catch you. Even though you manifest as though trying to help me, even though you appear, even though sometimes you manifest as and appear as trying to help me, trying to be nice to me, but actually you are the one who is harming me. Actually, you are the one who is hurting me. Actually, you are the one who is creating all these problems for me and to others. Actually, you are the one who is creating all the suffering to me and to others. Now I recognize it. Now I recognize it. Now you cannot deceive me anymore. You have deceived me from the past, in the past. You have deceived me because you always come and you always appear as to help me and to benefit me. But now I really understand true nature of you, what you really is, actually what you really is hurting me, harming me. And therefore, with that, and therefore, I'm going to put all the effort to reduce and to get rid of you, to reduce and get rid of you. I'm not going to fall into the trap of you anymore. Before I got trapped into you, you always, because you always appear as helping me. You always show as though you are trying to benefit me. And I fall into that trap. You deceive me, you misled me, you tried me, and I didn't understood that. But that is now gone. Now having met the Dharma, having observed that, having watched and observed how that selfish attitude, self-centeredness creates so much pain and suffering. Now I understood your true nature. Now you cannot deceive me. Now you cannot trap me. Now you cannot mislead me. I'm not going to fall into your trap anymore. And I'm going to try all my best to confront you, to reduce and overcome that selfish attitude, that self-centeredness. That's the root of all our suffering and pain and problem. And also, same with the, self-grasping ignorance. Also self-grasping ignorance. Whenever we have, again, that ignorance arising, self-grasping ignorance arising, whenever we have this mind that grasps whether it's a good object, bad, whatever object, whatever experience, whatever situation as truly inherently existence, grasps, when that grasping of truly existing that arises, again, being mindful of that, aware of that, again, oh, now I recognize that is the ignorance. That is the fundamental ignorance. That is another root of the problems. This selfish attitude and self-grasping ignorance, they are the main two root of all the problem, all the suffering, all the pain. Again, due to that ignorance, I continue to be tied up in the samsara and the suffering of samsara, the problem of samsara, because of your ignorance. Now I recognize that, now I recognize, Now I'm not going to give up myself to you. I'm not going to become slave of you. I'm not going to become prisoner of you, you know. Time has gone when you are able to keep me as a slave, as a prisoner. Now not anymore, you know. So with that, then again, you know, trying to apply the view, the wisdom, you know, in relation to the selfish attitude, and trying to apply the bodhicitta mind, and through that, then we try to confront those ignorance and selfish attitude, and try to confront them, trying to reduce them, trying to overcome them, trying to, you know, kick them from our mind, you know, trying to abandon, trying to eliminate, trying to destroy them as much as possible. So again, so that is throughout the day. Again, you know, whenever we through being mindful or watchful, whenever we notice and be aware, anytime either selfish attitude or ignorance arising, and then we try to apply that, and through that we try to throughout the day as much as possible. So that is the third strength and the power. Okay, and the fourth strength of the power is the wholesome seed. Sometimes it is called white seed, but basically is, you know, in order to generate the two bodhicitta mind for those who have not generated, and for those who have already generated, to maintain it so that it doesn't deteriorate, decrease, and for those who have already maintained it, but to increase it, to improve it, to develop even higher level of that bodhicitta, you know, more stronger, higher level, then we need not only we need to reflect, contemplate, meditate on those different those two bodhicitta, but also we need, you know, conducive conditions for our practice to become effective. Conducive conditions, you know, just like, you know, when you try to plant something, you know, if you're trying to plant tree, you know, or any kind of, you know, fruit or vegetables, of course, main things, we need to have good seed, and we need to plant a good seed in good soil, you know. The seed is the main cause, just as reflection, contemplation, meditation is like that seed, you know. But just to have the seed is not important, is not enough. For that seed to grow fully, for that seed to grow, and not only grow, to grow it fully to its full potential, then we need many other conditions, conducive conditions. Support. Water is one of them. Sometimes we need the heat, sometimes we need light, fertilizers. All these other conducive conditions, supportive conditions are equally important for the growth of that seed to the plant. Not only plant to for its full growth, not only grow to grow it fully. And for that also we need the support of a lot of virtues as well, you know. And so the white seed or wholesome seed is the virtues, you know. So as a way to support the meditation, reflection, contemplation, bodhicitta, so that we can cultivate, maintain, and develop fully, then, you know, as a way, then we make, you know, homage, prostrations, offering to the holy objects, you know. We make a practice generosity and giving to those who are in the needs, as a way of supporting that practice. Of course, to help the others, at the same time also to support the practice as well. And basically, if you're trying to help, that virtues will definitely support that your practice anyway. To support that and to engage in other practice, such as living our life more ethical, more moral and ethical, and that also supports for the two bodhicitta minds, and supporting, holy objects in terms of, supporting the Dharma and Dharma centers and so forth, or, even just a practice, others, simple practice, rejoicing to the virtues of oneself, virtues of others. Engage in a practice of, even we are unable to make the actual offerings, even just doing a mandala offerings through visualization, imaginations, through that, support that, and so that is the practice. So again, we try to apply that throughout the day. For example, if you can morning, you can set up the water bowls, offering of the light, offering of incense, offering of whatever other food, whatever offering you can make. You can try to set up those offerings to support the practice of two bodhicittas, as a way to support the two bodhicitta practice, and like that, and then so it is important when we do those practice that is related with creating marriage, which is part of the creating conducive conditions, virtues, to create the connections that I'm doing this in so in order to growth of my two bodhicitta mind. And the purpose of growth of two bodhicitta mind is to be benefit and help to other sentient beings. So, and to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, so then the practice become more effective, more strong. And then the strength and the power of the strength or the power of the aspirations or the prayer, or dedications, So whatever virtues we engage into, small, big, it doesn't matter, It could be very, very simple virtues, For example, just, some of you, many of you have, seed or water for the birds or animals. Normally, we don't think, we just put it there, isn't it? Normally, we don't think so much. We just put it, when water is run out, you just add the water, But thinking, because you wanted to help, whether it's animal, human beings, and their way you wanted to do that, to support, to help, and then, dedicate, by being able to help, by being able to support, by being able to engage in these small acts of virtues. may I be able to actualize and fully develop the two bodhicitta mind, so that I can be even more and greater benefit and help to more sentient beings. So you can dedicate the virtues. And of course, whenever we do any practice, sitting practice, non-sitting practice, any reflection, contemplations, any form of meditations, any form of other practices, such as generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyous effort in virtues, whatever practice we do, we take the time and effort. It doesn't take so much time, maybe a few seconds or a few minutes, to be able to dedicate that virtues, that merit, so that we can cultivate and fully develop the two bodhicitta mind. So then your virtues is kind of directed towards that, in order to support and help to develop the two bodhicitta mind. To develop the two bodhicitta mind. Because that is the core practice of the Lojong. The actual core practice of Lojong, Bodhisattva path, and Bodhisattva practice, the very heart, the two bodhicitta mind. And so therefore, because when we have the two bodhicitta mind, there is no doubt we will be much more able to help others and benefit others and oneself. We'll be able to help more sentient beings, and we will be able to help and support them in much more profound way. At the moment, even though we are able to help and benefit, we can help and benefit in a very limited way, very temporarily, very small things, in very limited way. But once we have two bodhicitta mind, then we will be able to help and benefit much more broader, much more deep, profoundly. We will be able to benefit and help profoundly, on much more profoundly, and for many, many sentient beings instead of very limited sentient beings, countless sentient beings. So therefore, that is why we need to develop two bodhicitta mind for that as well. So what is that verse? And then in the verse number 97, the last line, because the one I just explained was the line number 3, and the fourth line in that one verse, the fourth line, it says, and thus to cultivate only mental happiness. And that one, within the 7-point of mind training, that one is that comes into the fifth point. And that point is the measurement of having trained in the Lojong. And what it means is when we have trained our self into the practice of mind training or Lojong, and when we, after training and, as our practice training get better and better, then, no matter what happens in your life, it doesn't disturb your peaceful mind. you are able to keep your mind calm, peaceful, and kind of peaceful mind all the time. When that happens, then that is sign that you have made some progress in your Lojong practice. You have made a progress in your mind training. Of course, I'm not talking about, by taking some pills, what do you call LSD? You take it and then, you are bliss out, no matter what happens, you are bliss out until that effect goes away, of the drugs, We are not talking about that, Through training your mind, whether someone criticizes you, someone praise you, you are able to keep your mind just calm, peaceful, undisturbed, unagitated, happy. That is sign of practicing the Lojongs, When someone prays, we're happy, excited. When someone criticizes, we become very agitated, upset. That is shown that our practice of Lojong hasn't made much progress. Still a long way to go. That shows there's still a long way to go. That shows we still need to practice. We still need to practice. Not enough practice. That is why we easily get our mind, not stable and peaceful. And that changed very easily by someone's behavior or someone's actions up and down. Same thing, Either someone like you or someone dislike you, whether someone love you, someone hate you, doesn't matter. You are able to keep your mind peaceful, calm, joyful, Whether you become rich, whether you become poor, whether you are healthy, whether you are unhealthy, doesn't disturb your mind. Doesn't affect your mind to become so miserable, so low, so down, so unhappy, No matter what happens, no matter what situations, no matter how other people react to you, how other people behave to you, no matter how their attitude, towards you, no matter what your situations, if you are able to keep your mind stable, peaceful, calm, that is good sign. It's a good sign. It's a sign that we are making some progress. It's a sign that your practice of meditations is becoming helpful and beneficial. And so that is how we can evaluate our practice of Lojong and mind training through that, by checking and analyzing. So that is the meaning of the line. Thus, to cultivate only mental happiness. Mental happiness meaning, your mind being calm, peaceful, stable all the time. So I think maybe today we will kind of, I think that is, I will stop here. So I can take few questions if anyone has any questions. Questions, comment, please. Regarding today's. Yes, yes, Danny.
This is a comment. I was able to see a caption. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
It's a little hard to hear you.
Okay, hold on. Uh, let me change the speakers. Hold on.
Okay, and Israel's next.
Okay, how's this? Is this better?
Yes, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a comment. I had a very adverse situation, what would normally have upset me for a long time, days even, and I was able to see through it and see the dreamlike, and so quickly I came out of it. Within an hour, I was over it, and it was a real disappointment, or it could have been. And so I like to see a little bit of adversity because it helps to gauge, to judge the progress. That's all.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. There is one question here I see. I've heard that two wings of the bird, compassion and wisdom, is that the same as the two bodhicitta? Yes, you can say. When we say two bodhicitta, sometimes if we want to be very precise, then it is wisdom realizing emptiness directly that is being supported by the bodhicitta. That is the ultimate bodhicitta. And of course, relative bodhicitta is the wish to achieve enlightenment uh, for the benefit of all sentient beings, because driven by the great compassions. Um, I think normally, two birds, sometimes they use compassion, sometimes they use the method and wisdom. And so when we say method, then it is more broader because compassion is only one. When you say method, then loving kindness is part of that. Compassion is there. Bodhicitta is part of that. And many other practice as that. Um, so again, sometimes we use terms more loosely, sometimes we use more precisely, and so it depends on how you use that. Um, yes, Israel. Yeah.
Good morning, Geshe-la.
Good morning.
I'm currently dealing with. I would like your advice. Are you hearing me okay? Is my voice okay?
Not so well.
Hello.
There is kind of
Okay. Well.
echo. Yeah.
Well. Anyway, I'll try it. That is, I'm dealing right now with a series of communications with a family member that has basically consisted on their part of unjustified rage, accusations, attempts to hurt me. And I'm planning either to just not communicate with them anymore or to write them a short note that I'm not communicating with them anymore because of the hateful nature of the messages. I'd like your opinion.
Oh, I don't know. I think, yeah, if the communications are not helping and it is only making more rages, and it's only creating more anger, more rages, maybe it might be the best to not to communicate for a while. But also, sometimes in those kind of communications, of course, sometimes there is a miscommunications and misunderstanding from both sides. Of course, sometimes it's not both sides, sometimes it can be from just one side, sometimes it could be from both sides, miscommunication, and sometimes even it is happening from our side, sometimes we might not be also aware of that, definitely. And so that would be one way of really keeping your mind calm, peaceful, and really reflecting on yourself and your communications, and whether there have been certain way of communication that I could have hurt them, I could have made them, or I could have made them misunderstood. All of that, and that is one important part for our mind to be in a more peaceful, calm state of mind, and to be able to reflect and contemplate whether there's any small miscommunication that I'm from my side I might have done, or I might have said, or I might have misunderstood. And if we find that from our side, of course we cannot change there, but from our side, if we find that, then from our side we try to apologize. From my side, I seem to have miscommunicated because maybe I used the wrong word, or I was too strong, or maybe I was not skillful in communicating something that hurt, that upset, or that I misunderstood or misread the communications, and that is why. And so, whatever from our side, if we see any small things that we might have made any mistake, I think accepting that and apologizing that, from our side, and that is all we can do. That's all we can do, and it's all up to them whether they wanted to, whether they understand that, and whether it changed their attitude, it changed their state of mind, their communication or not, is all up to them. But from our side, sincerely, that's one thing we can do. If there is anything that we might have done to make the situation more kind of, that misunderstanding or that communication become more stronger, and so that will be my suggestions, all I can think of, and then see that how it goes, and and then
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Okay, most welcome. So if there's no other questions, then we can do the dedications. Yeah.
Geshe-la, dear Geshe-la, I have a question, but I think we can hold it for next week. This is Mary. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
Okay. It'll next week is good.
Okay. May all beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with a mind weighed down by depressions. May the blind see forms, and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those who with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever disease there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightening cease to be afraid and those bound be free. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend as well as coming holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la.